Hey, my name is Amy Johnston and I'm going to be explaining the curveball. Okay, first is the grip. And you can take a 4-seam grip for a curveball. I wouldn't recommend a 2-seam grip because a 2-seam will cut around only 2 seams, giving you less resistance, therefore faster pitch but a little bit less movement. And when our whole goal is to move the pitch as much as we can, probably want to go with the 4. So there's 2 different ways of doing this. You can take a small hand 4-seam grip where you make kind of a lowercase u, or excuse me, just a U with your fingers, your pointer finger and your thumb, and then you trace it on the U on the softball. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm getting on the edge of the seam right here and on the edge of the seam right here. You can hear where it flicks. You can hear where it flicks. That is called your pressure points. So your pointer finger and your thumb always move opposite from one another, creating spin, and that is your basic 4-seam grip. Some people like to tuck their knuckle so that they can flick against the seam harder. I'm not crazy about it because it pushes it back into the palm a little bit more, taking a little bit more speed off of it and giving the batter more reaction time. But again, that is totally up to you. So here's your basic 4-seam. I use a grip that's a little bit different, but I have really big hands, so this is easy for me to get. I do the buddy system, so we have pointer finger and middle finger opposite from thumb, and again, I'm lining up on the edge of the seam, so I can use that as resistance to push on, and I take my thumb and I push against. I have another pressure point on the back side of the ball, so I have pressure point here and here. And again, I'm trying to create this kind of axis. Some people call it the ball on the stick. I love this thing. I use it all the time. Here's your basic 4-seam grip and spin. And this is tension. You can make it tighter if you want to improve the strength of that spin. I have it pretty loose, so I can just kind of spin it and see how long I can keep it rotating. And so again, this is an awesome investment. You can actually make these pretty easily at home. Spinning around the outer edges of the ball. So a few drills to help you increase your spin rate is 1, a weighted ball. I believe this is a 9 or a 10 ounce weighted ball. It's kind of used and beat up, but just taking it and spinning it like this. Always be careful, be cautious when you're throwing a weighted ball. If you do, I wouldn't throw it at 100%, just toss it in there more like a comfortable speed, 75% speed. So weighted balls, awesome to practice with your curveball. Oversized ball, and this is actually a little bit weighted. This is 8 ounces, whereas a 12-inch softball is about 6.8 ounces. So again, tossing a weighted ball, well, kind of weighted, 8 ounces. An oversized ball is definitely going to improve the pitcher's grip strength. In turn, we are working this rotation, so we're strengthening the finger dexterity that does that. A little bit different perspective of the spin to see if they're doing it right is a spin jammer. I love the spin jammers, and you can see that it floats just like a flying saucer or a frisbee. And then a football, and again, it kind of looks like a helicopter. Power pod, I think this is called, and I got mine from Softball Excellence. I don't know if you can see that or not, but Softball Excellence is an awesome resource to go and find cool tools to help your pitcher, and again, it gives you a different perspective. And then once they get that release, you can have your pitcher add a circle to it and see if they can keep the spin. And then the next step would be going into full pitch and then applying that same concept of spinning around the outer edge and see if they can still keep that flying saucer spin. Here are a couple more tools that I would like to talk to you that will help you with the curveball. First is a zip ball. That's a ZIP ball, and it is a tiny softball, if you can see it, that sets just into your fingerprints, and that's the whole idea with this. Is this will teach your pitchers to throw from the fingerprints, through the fingerprints, so that they can get more spin on their curveball. So when you have the curveball, okay, you have your grip, your regular normal four-seam grip. A good idea is to, around the equator of the ball, put a black tape so that the spin is easier for your pitcher to see. And then it will make a straight line when she's throwing it. If you're looking to increase your spin rate, which increases your movement, grab some bat weights. Here is a smaller one. This one's, I believe this one's a 12. This one feels pretty heavy. So I know that they go by like 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. This one has to be somewhere in that range, 28, because it feels very heavy. Never throw one of these, by the way. But if you're just teaching your pitcher just to get the spin, you can toss this, or have her toss this to herself, working on increasing the speed and strength of her finger dexterity. And of course, the Rev Fire. So this is the new Rev Fire, and I also have the old Rev Fire. You may be able to find them used. So this connects to an app, so you see it's brand new. I haven't even taken it out of the package. And then the other Rev Fire, this is the older one. And what it does is it's going to show you your spin rate to the second. However, if they have the wrong spin, it's not really doing much for them because they're not throwing the right pitch. So you want to keep that in mind. Make sure that they can get that good rotation, four-seam rotation. If you're right-handed, it moves away from a right-handed batter. If you're left-handed, it moves into a right-handed batter. And then buy a Rev Fire, and I'll spin it so that you can see what it does. You'll set it to the feet that your pitcher throws, 43 feet, 40, 35, and then as I spin it around, it's telling me my revs per second and miles per hour. And the miles per hour is off because it is gauged by distance, amount of time in the air. So if the distance is off, well, your pitcher does stride, doesn't she? Then it's going to make the speed seem really fast, or it's going to make them seem really slow if the distance is off in a kind of a farther distance. The Diamond Kinetics does the same thing, but remember the Diamond Kinetics ball is actually a little weighted. It's not the same weight as the softball. It's just a little, but it's enough to make a difference, to make it a little bit more inaccurate. And it also gives a good view of what the spin was doing. $99, it's a great learning tool, so I definitely recommend it. A fun tip is the average college pitcher across all levels throws 58 miles an hour. And at 58 miles an hour, the average college spin rate is around a 20 per second, which is the same as 1,200 per minute if you're using the Diamond Kinetics ball or the Rapsodo. And at that, a curveball will move 5 inches. So you can buy this on Amazon. I think I got mine for maybe like 10 bucks, less than 10 bucks, $8 maybe. And everything inside of it, it has a bunch of tools to help the pitcher with grip strength, which of course gives us speed, but for the curveball, that's going to improve our grip strength, okay? So it's gonna improve our spin rate. And I wanted to point this out because you get this little guy in there. When you put this on your fingers and then you throw, it's going to increase your finger strength, which again increases our finger dexterity, our spin rate, and it goes like this. And I've been using this for years and I've never had trouble with it. I know that nowadays you can buy one specifically made for softball, and the problem that we've had with that in here is that, well, a lot of us have broke it the very first time that we got it out and used it. So that is, you know, kind of frustrating. You only get one on this one, and you see it's pretty strong. You throw your curveball with all your pitches, fastball, your changeup, your curveball. And again, it's going to strengthen your finger dexterity in the direction that you're snapping your fingers through the release. So this is a great, great, great tool. It will increase your speed and your spin rate. Highly recommend it. So these are made for rise balls, but you can actually use them for any pitch, so that you can just see the spin different, and you can see the axis by the two seams splitting. And what we're looking for a curveball will be this direction if you're right-handed, this direction if you're left-handed. Now what we're doing is we're doing some of the same drills, but in a seated position, so that at the bottom half of the circle, you are flattening out instead of swooping down and cutting through the equator of the ball. So it's going to look like this. Show the back of your fingers to your catcher, palm up.